Hey, good morning, everyone, and happy Saturday to you. We've made it to the weekend. We've gone through another week of dealing with this pandemic, and we don't know how many more weeks we're going to have ahead of us. Continue to deal with this, but we're taking it one day at a time, one step at a time, and I think we're all growing. As we move through this storm in our life. This weekend, I just wanted to share a few words with you on the topic of self-care, because right now, more than ever, it's extremely important for us to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves, because there's a lot that's being put on us. There's a lot that's being put on us, as parents. There's a lot that's being put on kids. There's a lot that's being put on heads of households, teachers, first responders, everybody. Everybody's being asked to take on a lot more than they've probably been used to doing. And again, it's all about leadership. And I've talked about this in previous video blogs and blogs that I've written. It's so important at this time that we have leaders that step forward and help take those they influence through these storms. And as I talked about before, and as John Maxwell said, leadership is influence, and we all have people that we influence, so we're all leaders in some form or fashion. So this is a time when we need leaders to step up within the household. We need leaders to step up within churches, within schools, within the workplace, to influence, and to lead those people who are looking at you for guidance. And because of that, there's a lot that's on you, and you have to understand that, even though you may not feel it day to day, it's starting to build up on you. So it's extremely important that we all take time to take care of ourselves, and for me, it comes down, of course, to, three areas, body, mind, and spirit. And I think if we can stay healthy in those areas, then we'll be able to do what we need to do as leaders, and to help those that are following us through this difficult time. I heard something from John Maxwell, one of his podcasts earlier this weekend, and I want to paraphrase this, but he was talking about when he went to his dad and told his dad that he wanted to grow up, and he wanted to lead people, he wanted to influence people, he wanted to help them. And he said his dad told him that, well, son, first you need to make sure your well is full, because you can't give people something that you don't have. So if there's nothing in your well and people come to you to get a drink from it, you can't provide them what they need. And so that kind of resonated with me, especially when I thought about this time that we're in. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this self-care piece, because if we don't have anything in our well, if we don't have anything to provide because we're so depleted because we haven't taken care of ourselves, then we're not going to be able to do what we need to do as leaders to help people through this storm, through this pandemic. So we have to take care of ourselves. And like I said, body, mind, and spirit. From the body, especially, we're trying to stay healthy, so we can stay away from the virus. So we've got that aspect, but there's also the aspect of, because we're not as active, as we used to be, because we're not able to get out, and we're not able to do some of the things that we've been able to do in the past. Not everyone has a gym in their home and things like that. You have to find ways to stay active and to keep your body physically healthy. So that you can again have yourself operating at an efficient level, so that you can provide what people need. Because if you're worn down, if you're physically worn down, you're not going to be able to provide that. And it goes to also what we try to eat during this time. I know it's easy, and I've done it plenty of times, probably way too much. It's easy to bake some stuff or eat some sweets and stuff like that. And again, if you're not working out like you used to, those things will build up on you. So taking the time to look at what we're feeding our bodies, and what we're doing to try to get some exercise, getting outside, walking around, those kind of things. It's extremely important during this time. The other piece, the mind, taking care of our minds and watching, what we feed ourselves, what we pour into our minds, is going to have a tremendous impact on what we can provide to people when they need it. when people need that direction, when people need, a way to go, when they're looking at you to help develop the plan that's going to help them move through this storm. You need to have the right things. You need to have the right things within that well, of your mind, that you can pull forward and you can help them as they go through this. And a lot of that comes down to what you decide to feed yourself at this time. It's important to continue to read. It's important to continue to, listen to podcasts. Many of us have more time on our hands now than we've had in several years. And so what are you doing with that time? Are you taking the time to build up your own skills, to build up your own capacity when we talk about learning? Are you listening to different podcasts? Are you watching things on YouTube that are helping you to grow, that are pouring things into you that you'll be able to then give to others, again, to help them as you go through this storm? And that's really what, that leadership piece is about. And so, it's easy, trust me. I've got a couple of series I'm binging on Netflix and on Prime, so I completely understand that. But it's all about balance. That can't be all of what you pour into yourself, and news and all that. That can't be all of what you pour into yourself either. Look for ways to grow. Look for ways to help elevate yourself in whatever field that you're in whatever area that you're gifted in. Take the time to grow in those areas and use this time to fill that well, so that you can leverage what you've poured into your mind to help others. And then finally, spirit. And, everyone has a different spiritual walk, and I'm not telling you, exactly which walk you should take, but I know that the walk that I take and where I'm spiritually grounded has helped me tremendously as I go through this storm in my life. One of the things that I do, I'm gonna reach for this little journal right here. Every morning I sit down, and one of the things I do as soon as I start my day is I write in this journal, and it's really just a conversation between me and the Lord, and me giving thanks for what I've been blessed with, with the previous day, even waking up, being able to look at the possibilities that are in this day that I've been blessed with. Just talking about different things, and things that are on my mind, things that I want to share, and developing that relationship. And it helps to keep me completely grounded. It helps me to understand that we will get through this. It helps me to understand that there's faith and hope, and there's a joy in knowing that this is not the end. This is not where the story ends. We're going to be able to get through this, and so you have to take care of your spirit. You have to make sure that you're feeding yourself, your spirit, the right stuff, so you can have that joy even in the midst of a storm. And so, you have to have that foundation. So this is a time for each of us to reflect and look inward and ask ourselves, what is our foundation? What is that thing that we're leaning on? What are we feeding our spirit so that we can have that joy, that is sometimes beyond understanding, even when you're looking at going through a storm, because that is reflected into others as well. And they see that, and that gives them a comfort, and that gives them a hope that we too can get through this. So, in those three areas, guys, body, mind, and spirit, that's what I want to share with you today, is just take some time this weekend to reflect on those three areas, see how you're doing, see where you're at, and make an honest assessment. Make an honest assessment of where you're at in those three areas, and find those areas, those areas where you need to pour more into your well, so that when others come to you, you'll have something to give them, and you'll be able to help them through this difficult time. So guys, have a great weekend. Enjoy, get outside, social distancing, of course, but get some fresh air. And, I look forward to sharing some words with you again in the future. God bless. Love you. Please take care. Bye-bye.